For a while now, Brupeg has had a feature where we've had a anti-stealing device on board the boat where if somebody does break in and try and steal Brupeg, they will beach themselves before they're able to make a handy getaway. And it's because obviously we hooked this up incorrectly, or did we, when we first put this together. So today I'm going to fix it because there's too many people thinking that we're going to terrify other people and kill ourselves if we don't do this.
Brupeg was a sunken fishing trawler that was stripped out and ready for the scrapyard. She's just completed a 10-year rebuild that's brought her back to life. With the help of volunteers and funded by our Patreons, community and subscribers, she'll be crewed by passionate people from around the world. If you'd like to be involved and support the project, please consider joining us on Patreon or subscribe to the channel. There's a link in the description below.
It's been a while since I pulled this thing apart. I can't actually remember how it goes, but I do know that I can swap the cable end to end. So behind this lever here, this is the gear lever, behind here there's a little bar that goes left and right. I think I've got the cable hooked up on that side, I do, and I need to hook it up on that side. That's the extent of this drama. Sorry if you were hoping for more.
Brupeg's all about people and community, and this week we partnered with MyHeritage, who are sponsoring this episode. It's a surprisingly powerful research tool and we're excited to be collaborating with them, plus we get to find out a bit more about what makes us tick.
Can you guess what nationalities Damien's ancestors are from, with a love of the sea, boats,
A bit of arrogance.
adventure? We'll tell you at the end.
With instant discoveries, you can add an entire branch of your tree with a click of a button.
Damien's family tree is already up to 15 generations back to the 1500s, and it's growing.
MyHeritage is the #1 global service for family history research and DNA testing with powerful tools to find historical and family connections. It has over 19 billion searchable records, as well as repairing and enhancing historical photographs. It was surprising how thorough the platform is. They give you ongoing updates when they have new discoveries, and some of them were quite intriguing.
Damien ended up connecting with a relative, found out a whole lot of information he didn't know about his father's side, and it was even a bit emotional for him. So, the big reveal. Damien's ancestors are Danish, French, and English. A love of exploring, a passion for good food, and industrious while doing both.
We found it incredibly interesting being able to find out about our family history. If you're keen to start building your family tree, sign up for a 14-day free trial with MyHeritage using the link in the description below or the QR code on screen, and you can start using all the amazing features MyHeritage has to offer.
That there is the bottom of the lever. You can sort of see it pulls the Morse cable up and down. I've undone it as much as I can. I should be able to just pull it out like so. Switch the lever over, and with a bit of luck, push it straight back into the hole at the back. There we go. Done. Problem solved. I did manage to break the tiny little brass split pin. It does have a brass washer, but I'm going to try and replace it with a stainless piece of welding wire, and I'll crimp this together so that it forms a thing that can't come out, basically. There we go, crimped over a little piece of stainless. Hopefully that works. Right, well, danger averted. Look, we've got forward and astern with a little label that tells people how to do that. The Wheelhouse has been a work in progress for a while. You can see we've got two screens over the back, another screen here, another screen here. This was the one that we were navigating off, however we're going to be replacing it with this one, and it basically replaces this screen and these two screens at the back with this one single screen. This is a touch screen, 24-inch touch screen. It's going to massively simplify what we're doing up here. So what we need to do this episode is clean this up and get this mounted in, because we're heading north in Brupeg in about 5 weeks time. Burke's arriving, and as such we need to start hardening the boat so that we can go to sea. So a lot of this stuff, random wires, bits of things, dash, screens, all this sort of stuff has to be dealt with. This needs to be shipshape. The engine room is starting to get to the stage where we're happy with that, and we can sign that off. We just need to tidy everything away into the drawers and we're good to go. But this up here is still a bit of a chaotic mess. It's a lot tidier than it normally is, but we still need to deal with it. And that's today's job. So the first step in cleaning up this dash area, I've cleared away the screens, but I need to get rid of these two North Star LCD touch screens. So you can see, I don't know if it's going to show up in the camera, but you can sort of see this here is failing. Like the actual screen itself is peeling away from the front of the screen. It's doing exactly the same thing on both of them. It's worse because of the heat up in the wheelhouse. So prior to putting the air conditioner in the wheelhouse, it used to get very hot up here, and we're pretty sure that that's what's finished these off. But these are very old, and they were always going to eventually be replaced anyway, because these were going to be a thing that was going to fail, and we're not going to be able to replace them. So the first job is basically make a new dash. We're going to cut out a new piece of aluminium. This whole dash here is a piece of 3mm aluminium with some felt glued onto the top of it, and then we've just got some switches and things that we've stuck in there. we know what we're going to have for our switches and stuff. This was always sort of a temporary thing to figure out what we need to do. We do want to get some labels, like some proper labels. I don't know what you call it, not laser cut or etched, but we want to get a proper switch panel made up. We just don't know what we're going to be having in that switch panel yet. But with this new screen, we're going to end up sticking the screen sort of smack in front of the steering wheel. Yes, this hasn't been changed yet. And then we're going to have a bit more space over here for our switchboard. Regarding the wheel, I'm stuck on changing it. So we've got a stainless wheel that was donated, a destroyer type wheel, and it's an awesome wheel. But the taper on this wheel is different from the taper on the destroyer wheel. And there's nowhere locally that I know of that can machine out the taper and put a keyway into the new destroyer type steering wheel. So we're coming up with a couple of options. One of them is basically machine the steering wheel off the center of this one, take the center of this one, essentially machine the center of the destroyer wheel out and weld this original one into the destroyer wheel. I think that's what we're going to end up doing, just because we can't actually find a machine shop that can do what we need locally. Okay, I want to talk specifically about this screen, why we went with this one. So, first off, it's a decent brand. It's ViewSonics. It's a decent middle ground and it represents really good value for money. The main feature that we loved was the fact that it has the buttons at the front. So if you've got buttons on the bottom or the side, it really limits how you can mount it. Having the buttons at the front means that's a piece of cake. And the fact the screen goes right out to the edge, so we're going to get the maximum real estate that we can for the smallest footprint. It's an anti-glare screen, so it doesn't have a lot of shine off the screen per se. Like that's as bad as it gets, but that's bouncing it off some pretty bright windows, so when you're straight onto it, it's really quite nice. So that's another big feature for us, and we also tuck it in behind on this black thing here, so we should have a bit less glare because of that. Some cool stuff about this. Spin around. Obviously you've got all your cables and things come off the back here, so we've got heaps of room. It's got built-in speakers, so we can have alarms and things like that up here, but it has this nifty little thing. So on the back of the screen you've got this little button. You can do that and do that, and the screen is free from the stand. That seems like a non-event, and I'm sure there's other screens that have this sort of thing out there, but for us it's a really big deal because it makes mounting the screen really easy. We don't have to actually get behind the screen or the dash or anything to fasten this down. We can fasten the mount down and then we can just clip the screen into the mount and we know that it's going to stay there. What I'm hoping to do is use this square, I think they call it a VESA mount, VESA, something like that. I'm hoping to reuse that, so take it off at this hinge, so this is all going, but this part here will be mounted behind the dash. So I'm going to try and strip this part down here and see if we can actually figure out the mechanism up here. Okay, right, big springs, but pretty sure it's kind of cool how that works, but I'm pretty sure I can probably figure out this and take this bit here out. Yeah, let's go rip some more plastic apart. I was wrong, it was too hard to strip this bit down, but 5 screws and that bit came off, so we'll just mount that. Things have progressed. This is the computer that runs our navigation system, so it's a little solid state computer. It's got a 12 volt power feed, but we've hardwired it into this block here with a red light showing that there's no fuse, but we've got a fuse link coming across to this here, then Ethernet's off down to a switch, but all of our screen and everything has to plug into that. Now the screen, as you saw, we just ripped this bracket thing off here, but I've done some measurements on this here, and if I make a mount that's 65mm wide and then mount this guy somewhere about, where are we, about there, I'm pretty confident that we can get this screen to work quite nicely. It's going to be screwed into this here, so this piece of fairly chunky timber is going to be the back of the screen mount itself. This part here is actually loose at the moment, but it's not going to be a structural thing. We're going to have the actual screen tie onto the sort of building blocks of the dash. Now this aluminium, I'll move this here, this piece of aluminium that's covered in the black felt that we've been using previously, that's no longer going to be needed, but we need to retain these switches. So I'm going to make a new piece of aluminium that becomes essentially a surround for the new screen mounted up in here. So first steps, it's going to build a bracket that allows this to bolt to that back wall over here. Just quickly done a measure up, that's what I'm going to build. So my bracket, this piece here, will screw into this piece here, and that back part there will screw into that part there. It's been a while since we played with aluminium, so let's build it out of that. Conveniently, we've got a big thick chunk of aluminium angle, so I think that's going to be the basis of our mount. Alright, this is my shape here, so this is going to be the back that screws to the back of the dash. We're going to have this part here as the extension forward. This little piece of offcut right there is about the right size to weld down the front here, and then the we'll drill and tap it, and then that is going to become the mount that the screen Visa mount, I think it's called, bolts onto the front of it. So it'll be drilled and tapped and basically bolted on from this side. This will be screwed from here. It will screw down into the dash, so we should have access to, it's going to be a wee bit awkward to get some of the screws at the top, but we should have access to do all of it if we do this front part right.
I was making my way across town, trying to get to you.
Right, after I found this piece being flung over the back of the boat, this is going to be the layout. So we just need to weld this guy to this piece here, give it a clean up, round the corners off, that sort of thing, and then massage this so it fits into that Visa mount, and then that's going to be our general layout. So that I can get this exactly bang on straight, I have put my jaws on the vise to 65mm, which is what we need. And then we know surface to surface, this is going to be spot on. It's not clamped because this here is slightly cut on the piss. Won't matter, we're going to be welding it, and yeah, we can just basically hold that and put a tack in and get that nice and square.
I was making my way across town, trying to get to you. I've been keeping my phone on no sound, facing you out.
Alright, mount almost done. I need to drill holes in the back to screw it down to the timber. I need to drill and tap this one here, but if you see here, I've sort of filed that back straight, but on an angle that way. The front, I've had to do into a bit of a curve because the Visa mount, this bottom part is straight, the top part has a curve in it. So, all said and done, it fits. So now I just need to drill and tap those 5 holes, and that's ready to go. Right, so test fit time. Screwed that in there. This guy in there. I'll just throw that down there for the moment. Okay. See if the screen's going to work. Right, first time test fit. Yep, should click into place. It does, but it's on an angle, so we'll straighten that up. And we need to angle it back. I wonder if we flip it the other way. It's on an angle facing that way, and ideally we want it that way, so let's deal with that. I think that's the solution. So put a cut about 80% of the way through with the skill saw, and then just hit it in the vise and get some angle difference between that side and that side. So let's put it all back together again and see if that's made a difference. Yeah. Click. Done. Nice, and 2 screws holding it in, it's already solid. There we go, welded. You can see I haven't welded the sides, I've just welded the top, but that's plenty strong enough. Some would say that's overkill for a screen bracket, but you know, Brupeg. Right. Done! Let's fire this thing up. Right, she's all bolted in, nice and solid. Moment of truth, let's put a fuse in the wiring. Currently no smoke. That is a positive sign. Alright, here we go. Does the touchscreen work? There we go. Close. Oh, the touchscreen works! I don't know how to get the... How do we make that small? There we go. Oh, look, there we go. Update later. We have a touchscreen. This is incredible. Okay, you can fire back up again. Oops, what have I done? No. Run in normal mode. Oh, we can even do that. Oh, no, we can't. I don't know how to drive this. Right, that's north of us. Where are we? We're down here somewhere. That's miles north of us, we're way down here. I think I'm moving glacially. This is so cool. This is so incredibly cool. There she be, Brupeg in the marina. This is sensational. So you can see how clean and clear the the desk is. It's never been this clean. So we have to make a new surround. This one got sacrificed to the gods of dashboards, but this is sensational. We've got room for switches here. We've got our regular switches are going to go up over there. We've got rid of the two dead screens. We now have got one nice wide touch screen. If we really want to, we can fit another one. If we move this over, we can actually fit another one of these on the side. So if we ever want to expand this, we've got the room to do it. We'll make a new dash when we do that, but we actually have the room to do it. So this is sensational. So this screen was donated to Brupeg, and it's a bit of an interesting story. Duncan and his partner Julie are friends with Ray and Anita, and the four of them wanted to get some Brupeg merchandise, and they started looking to order it from the Brupeg store. However, what we didn't realise was when you order multiple things, so you know, a hoodie, a t-shirt, a coffee mug, stickers, whatever, you know, if there's multiple things, you actually get quite a few freight charges when you start sending it to Australia, and this is something that we're looking into. And they said to us, is it possible if we get this organised in Australia and bypass the store, and we'll give the whatever the difference was going to be, we'll give that to Brupeg as a donation. And it ended up being this screen. This is essentially what these guys donated. So this is absolutely incredible. So Ray, Anita, Duncan and Julie, thank you so much. This is going to make such a difference up on the Wheelhouse. Right, it's done a measure up. So we've got a space here, here, here and here that we need to fill up. This is my drawing. So I'm going to go cut that out of aluminium. And then I also need to put some holes over here that are going to be these plugs. So the old, it's very hard to show you with the sun right there, but the old dash is a bit dead. That's all bent up. So we're going to reuse these plugs, but we need to fit them into here. So we'll pre-drill everything before we start covering this with our fabric. So this is my piece of alloy. I need to start measuring it up, transfer this onto here. Alright, marked out. So this is where our screen is going to go. This little slot here, I'm actually going to change where the computer itself, the Nook computer, is sitting. I'm going to mount it because at the moment it's sort of behind the screen, and the on button is behind the screen. So as soon as I put this panel on, I can't physically turn the system on. So I'm going to remount it so that it's pointing out and the button is just really accessible. Also means we can see the lights and things on it. And this here is where the switches are going to go. So I've got these here, a couple of these. So one there, and then these guys here are just regular switches, but there's enough room if we want to ever put these missile switch covers on them, we can. This is for our navigation and radar and stuff like that. So once they're on, we can sort of like lock it so that it's obvious not to bump that. The others, like navigation lights, it's not a big deal. If we turn them off, we can turn them straight back on without it being an issue. So plenty of room up here if we ever need to add more switches and so on, gauges, whatever, up this side. So plenty of expandability, and we've also got this space over here if we ever want to do something on this side as well. There we go, cut, drilled, all the edges are cleaned up, got the holes for the switches, so time to start spraying this up and getting some fabric on it. Alright, time to try and get some of this nice suede material over top of the aluminium. So you can sort of see we've got it there. I pin it along one edge, pull it tight, and then cut it about an inch out so that we can wrap that inch on all dimensions. It gets wrapped around the edges, and then wherever we've got the gap here, so the square line is there, so we'll end up cutting it sort of down here so we can wrap that around as well. So let's just get this bolt cut out, and then we can start fine tuning once we've got a smaller piece of material. So spraying the stuff on, we use this stuff here. It's just a generic Sally's contact adhesive. So basically you got to put this stuff on quite thick so that it's thickly around the edges, and then you let it dry. You do exactly the same on the material. Right, so I'll probably do a couple of coats of that actually, just to really get it to stick on there. Exactly the same deal with the back side of the material. Shaky camera work provided by Damien. So the trick is to put it on a flat surface. So obviously we're using our indoor workbench, and then down here we've got our aluminium glued up, ready to go.
What do you mean indoor workbench? This is food only.
This is inside. I mean that's the outdoor workbench.
How many indoor workbenches should we have then, do you think?
Oh, that's a great point.
Heating is not necessary.
No, we could fit another one. No, I completely agree with you.
Look. We've got these. We've got 2 swags. Swags in Australia is like a little tent. It's 1 person and a 2 person. And these are you can tie them down. So these are going to go up on the roof. And when we're somewhere we want to just get out under the stars, they've got like a little net so you don't get the mozzies and things.
They are pretty awesome. The whole thing becomes a net.
And you can even, the big one, you can open it up, and if it rains, you've got the rain not touching you. So it's going to be pretty cool. We're excited. So we're going to clean those. We're doing lots of sorting out. And by the way, Burke is on the way. Currently,
he's in Dubai.
He's in Dubai and he's about to go to the next plane, right?
Yeah, so he flew from Hamburg to Dubai.
Yeah.
And he's waiting for the next plane, and then he's heading to Brisbane.
Yeah.
And then he's getting on a train.
So we're in contact. Yeah. And he's saying, oh my gosh, it's quite a long trip. It's like a day's trip completely. Yeah.
So those dots there should line up to these 5 dots here.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that in. Just hold it on the edges, it'll be sticky, but...
Yes. They're in the centre.
Okay. Yep, lovely. Alright, corners have to be dealt with, so easiest way I've found is use one of these sort of knives and just strip the corner off square like that. It allows you to fold them in without them bunching up and doing stupid things in the corner. If you want to get really pedantic about it, you can fold it over and then sort of cut this one back, whatever the size of that one, you come back and strip this off here so that they don't overlap. You end up with a flat surface. Up to you, depends on how you want to do it. Alright, once you've got the corners cut out, you can then do this. Go over all of the edges. This allows you to flip the corners up and have them stick properly. Right, leave that sit for half an hour and then we'll fold them over. Okay, so when you go to round this stuff over, work your way along, pulling it up on the edge, because remember the edge is going to glue as well because it's about 3mm thick. And then I find if I work in the middle like that and then kind of pull it back, you end up with less like wrinkles and stuff like that, rather than like try and fold it all over in one go. So same technique, pull the whole thing up. Now this one, you might actually trim half of this off so that we get half of this one on here and half of this one on here, just to make it a bit easier to seal up. Same deal down in this corner here, because we've got 2 things that have to fold over each other. Right, let's get that up the top. So that's the computer that drives everything. So I need to make a bracket to hold this little fella, wherever it's going to sit, basically there. But you can see we've got Velcro down here, so we use Velcro to hold this on. So I just need to make a bit of, I don't know, aluminium maybe that just does a zip across, or some, no, it has to go that way because of all these cables. But yeah, basically a big piece of aluminium that will screw onto the back here, and will go onto the side of this here so that we can hold it vertical that way. That way we've got access. There's nothing on the bottom except one of the little locking holes that you get on computers. We're never going to use that. We've got full access to our USBs if we've got it vertical like that, and all of the ports down this end here. So there's like USB-C, headphones, there's another, there's what we've got, HDMI, some other bits and pieces down there. We've still got access to all of those, but we just need to make a bracket to hold it. This happens every time I work for some reason. More and more stuff seems to accumulate. However, I have made this little bracket with a wall of Velcro, and then you can see all the Velcro on the back of the computer. Computer's going to sit like that, little bracket, and it gets screwed in there like that. Computer's going to click onto the side of it, and then we can Velcro it so that the alignment is absolutely perfect with this here. So let's get this screwed in, and then we can start getting this dash fully lined up. There we go, bracket screwed in nice and rigid. Everything's plugged in over the back. You can't see it because it's plugged in, but we've got this here now Velcroed in, and if you look along, it's the same sort of angle and orientation as a screen. So let's get the dash up, see how it all looks. Weave. Oh, that's looking swell. Just need to put we just need to put our switches in there, which is just poking through the material and screwing them in. So that's a pretty piece of cake. So yeah, let's get that done. All right, it's late in the day. We've got blocks here, 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 and here. We've got Velcro on those, and then put Velcro onto this here. It's not ideal. I would have liked to have had the Velcro on the metal, but we can always cut that away if it doesn't work. But I'm just going to stick it on for now, see how we go. But we've got our little Nook computer mounted. We've got our fuse block over the back ready to go. Our switches are all in. Straighten that guy up. Screen nice and solidly mounted in there. Our suede is on. Time to get this Velcroed in and in place finally for the last time. Alright, I have the Velcro stuck on, and I stick, so I've got two sides up there, and then I peel the stuff off, the backing off. So left with sticky, sticky, sticky. I've got one more to go. Let's get this guy off. There we go. So theoretically we can press this up now and it'll be in position. Honky dory, let's oh. That's pretty cool. Yep, that's pretty cool. Lights. We've got nav lights out there working, anchor light, nav lights, and that's hydraulics. And then the two missile switches for the system that we're running right now, the navigation and the vessel monitoring system. There we have it. The dash, finally, clear, usable, nice. Look, and it's even fluffy. It's got that like 80s suede look. It's bloody awesome. I love it. Right. I'm very, very happy with how this turned out. This screen is bloody amazing. Alright, before it gets too hot up here, it is the morning. We've got a touch of overcast sky out there, so we're going to smash a thread into the side of the boat so we can fit this grease nipple on this grease line that goes all the way down to the pin so that we can grease the new anchor roller. One hole, one bigger hole, This is the thing I wanted to show you last week, so tapping with a drill or a small impact gun. So use cutting oil. You always want to use cutting oil when you're tapping if you can. And then in forward. Done. Beautiful. A lot of misconceptions about tapping. People think it's easier and safer if you do it by hand. I actually don't agree with that. When you're doing it by hand, you can kind of feel all of the scary bits and you think it's going to break and all that sort of stuff. But if you do it with an impact gun like that, the constant tick, 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 tick of the impact gun actually breaks up all the swarf. It's a much cleaner thread. It's an easier thread. I've never actually broken a tap using that technique, and I've broken hundreds of taps using hand tapping. So, yeah, obviously that there's going to be an asterisk on the end of that. It doesn't apply to every situation, but my experience has been when you tap with a rattle gun or a small impact gun, you always get a pretty decent result. So I've already assembled this joint onto this piece of grease tube, mainly because there's little pieces in here, little olives and things in here that I don't want to be doing over the side of the boat. So I'm just going to assemble it with the tube intact, so we can get it started. So this is an M10 by 1 mil thread. So it's a fine thread metric. Get that in there. Right, let's get a spanulator and we'll tighten that up. Tweet, click, click.
I know I just said I prefer doing it with a machine rather than hand tapping, but when I'm cleaning a thread out, I prefer hand tapping because you got a bit more control. You can just go much slower. So in this case, I'm already just cleaning out a thread that I know was good. I rounded it over a little bit when I hit it with a hammer. I was an idiot, so I'm going to clean it out with this and then vacuum all of the swarf out of there. Now, in an ideal world, I would have had a right angle come off here, a right angle come off here, and then have quite a straight tube going up there. I can get a right angle for this end, but I can't get one for this end, so it still would have left me with a weird sort of shape. So that's why I've gone with two straights and having it like that. It's not necessarily in the way of the anchor, so all of the anchor stuff happens out in front. I can't really think of a situation where the anchor chain is going to come up and back and beside this here and cause any issues with this stuff here. The only thing that might cause an issue is maybe ropes or something like that, but when I can get to a place in the world where I can actually find a right angle grease fitting, this is just simply unscrewing something and getting a new pipe put on. So for now, this is going to be our system. And we've got spare tubes, so if we ever rip this off, we can just put another one straight on. It's not a big deal. These are a couple of bucks each. They're not expensive fittings. So none of this is too much of an issue. If we cause any damage to it, we can easily repair it on the boat when we're at sea. It's not really a big deal. So before I connect this tube, I want to actually prime it with grease, but I don't know if you remember, but I actually bolted my grease gun into the engine room, so I've got to go and buy another one. Okay, wandering around the boat trying to find the grease gun, and I thought I'll just look in the obvious places. Jess's handbag. Yes, thank you very much. I think we'll just use that. Alright, what I want to do using Jess's handbag grease gun is prime the grease line. So this is the end of the grease line up here. Put a few 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, so it takes 10 squirts to travel down the length of that tube. So we'll hook it on the front there. Right, grease line in. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it, but we're just going to start filling up that central tube, see if we can get grease to squeeze out anywhere for now. We've got oil seals which will do a pretty good job of keeping the grease in, but this thing gets up to pretty good pressure, so I'm hoping we can squeeze some past them. So far nothing. I think we'll just keep going. Getting a fair amount come out of here from the pressure in the actual gun itself, but I can't see any coming out the roller. But we'll just keep going. It will eventually work its way out. I think it's probably a time thing, so I might just come back later on today and just give it more of a squirt. Now, a couple of people have talked about the rollers being a bit narrow for the actual cheeks, but that's off by design. So what we're planning, you can see there's probably, I don't know, 5mm over here, a couple of mil over there. What I'm thinking is 2 3mm plates of stainless that will weld onto the inside of these cheeks, so the roller itself will always be rubbing on stainless, it won't be rubbing on mild steel, mainly so that we can stop the cheeks from dying over time. But that is in the cards, and that's also why we allowed a wee bit of slop in the dimensions of that roller. So that's to happen, and there's a reason for that. The cheeks of this bow roller I built about maybe 6 years ago, and then we had a 70 kg anchor. This is 112 kg, so the anchor is physically much larger. As such, I actually need to push the anchor further forward. What I want to do is down here on the shank, I want to lift the back of the shank up and put a roller underneath, and the reason for that is because then the anchor naturally wants to drop forward, because it'll be held on a bit of an angle. It wants to drop forward and self-launch. At the moment, because the anchor is slightly too big for the bow roller, the cheeks that we've got out there, the roller is fine, it's just the actual physical dimensions of the cheeks. We have to push the anchor off every time we launch. So it's a bit of a pain at the minute, but it is something that in the future we want to add a bit more to that front and perfect. But Brupeg's going to be like that. Going forward, there'll be lots of things that we tweak over time when we realise, hey, that doesn't work, we can do it better a different way. We're not afraid to do that, and that's partly why we're building Brupeg as we go, as opposed to building it from a blueprint that was designed many years ago. Things change, you know, anchors get upgraded, winches get upgraded, whatever. Things change over time, and new things need to be built. So we're not afraid to chop things up and modify them, even if we built them previously. It's not really an issue for us. So remember to check out MyHeritage and sign up for a free 14-day trial on their website. You can use the link in the description below, or you can scan the QR code on screen now.